Dear students, in this video we shall see Lagrange's theorem and its consequences. Lagrange's theorem and its consequences. The session objective is to see the proof of Lagrange's theorem and its consequences. Recap. You recall the definition of order of an element that you have studied in your previous class, and also order of a group, and also the cosets and its properties, etc. Lagrange's theorem. The statement of the Lagrange's theorem is like this. If G is a finite group and H is any subgroup of the group G, then order of H divides order of G. Order of H means number of elements present in the subgroup H. That divides the number of elements present in the group G. The proof goes like this. Let us suppose that order of G is equal to n. That is, G contains n number of elements. And order of H is equal to m. That is, H contains m number of elements. We have to prove that m divides n. Since G is finite, there are finite number of right or left cosets of H in G. Let G have k number of distinct right or left cosets of H in G, and let us take those k number of distinct cosets as HA1, HA2, HA3, HAK. Of course, we are taken here as right cosets HA1 to HAK. That is, index of H in G is equal to k. This notation represents index of H in G, that is equal to k, the number of distinct right or left cosets. But any two cosets, it may be right or left, of H have same number of elements. In particular, H itself is a left or right cosets of H in G. H itself is a left or right coset of H in G. Since order of H is equal to m, means H contains m number of elements. So every right coset of H in G must have same number of elements. That is, every right coset of H have m number of elements. And moreover, union of all those cosets will be equal to G, the main group G. And order of G is equal to sum of the orders of all those right cosets. That is, order of HA1 plus order of HA2 plus and so on order of HAK. Order of G is equal to n, and order of each and every right coset is equal to m. M plus m plus m and so on m. So k times m. Therefore, we have n is equal to km. So we have expressed n as product of two numbers, k into m, which means that k divides n as well as m also divides n. Therefore, we have m divides n, which is the proof of the Lagrange's theorem. One important note is that the converse of Lagrange's theorem need not be true. That is, if m is a divisor of n, that is order of the group. If the group G has a divisor m, then it is not necessary that the group G has a subgroup of order m. For example, consider the group G 1 minus 1 I minus I of fourth roots of unity, and we know that this forms a group under multiplication. I will consider a subset H is equal to 1 comma I of the group G. Clearly, order of G is equal to 4 and order of H is equal to 2, and also we see that order of H divides order of G. 2 divides 4. But H is not a subgroup of G. This H1 comma I containing these two elements is not a subgroup. We see here is that order of G has a multiple 2 or as divisor 2, but the H is not a subgroup of G, which means that converse of Lagrange's theorem is not true in general. Corollary to the Lagrange's theorem: the index of any subgroup of finite group is a divisor of the order of the group. The proof is very simple. It is a one-line proof. It follows immediately from the Lagrange's theorem, where in the Lagrange's theorem we have proved this one: n is equal to k into m, where k is the index of H in G. We have expressed n is equal to product of two numbers. Those two numbers are nothing but index of subgroup of H in G, and m is the order of the subgroup, which means that both k and m divides n, which means that k also divides n. That is, index of the subgroup divides order of the group. Now let us see the consequences of Lagrange's theorem. First consequence, I will take up that in the form of theorem. If G is finite group and A is an element of G, then order of that element A divides the order of the group G. Let us suppose that H is a subgroup generated by the element A. We have order of H is equal to order of A. We have proved this one while discussing with cyclic subgroups. If A is a generator of the subgroup H, then order of H is equal to order of A. That you should know. So from Lagrange's theorem, we have order of H divides order of G. In place of order of H, we can write order of A, which proves the given theorem. That is, order of A divides order of G. This is the first consequence of Lagrange's theorem. Hence the proof. The second consequence, again I am taking that in the form of theorem. If G is finite group of order n, then for all A belongs to G, A to the power n is equal to E, where E is the identity element. That is, A to the power n means order of the group G is equal to E. The proof goes like this. Let us suppose that order of A is equal to m. Since G is finite, therefore from the above consequence, we have order of A divides order of G. So therefore this order of G can be written as product of order of A into some integer, say k. That's what I have written here. N is order of G is equal to m into k, where k is any integer. So now consider A power n, that is equal to A power m into k. In place of n, we can write m into k, which we can write A power m whole power k. That is equal to A power m is equal to E. This is because we have chosen order of A is equal to m. By definition of order of an element, m is the least positive integer for which A power m is equal to E. I am using the definition of order of an element. A power m is equal to E. So we get E power k, where E is the identity element. E power k is E itself. That proves the proof of the second consequence of Lagrange's theorem, that is A power n is equal to E.